Hello, Facebook friends. It's Carla, your online doctor, with today's Live in 5. Today is Thursday. It's January 9th at 5 p.m. Okay, so this week we've been talking about... Hello, Cindy. We've been talking about skin things we do to our skin that we may or may not want to or should have, or all that good stuff. So we started Monday, we talked about tattoos. Tuesday, we talked about permanent makeup. Yesterday, we talked about body piercings. Today, we're going to talk about hair removal. Okay? Hello, Teresa. So, not necessarily talking about shaving or tweezing or hair removal creams, because I don't like the creams. The other two aren't that bad. Creams obviously have a lot of chemicals and stuff, so you know me, not my favorite. But let's talk about waxing, electrolysis, and laser hair removal, okay? The ones that cost a little bit of money, right? Shaving, tweezing, and the creams, they're kind of cheap, but they're not permanent, and they're not the way that most of us, if we want to go the hair removal route, you want to go for something that's a little more permanent. Obviously, it's going to cost you some bucks. And some of them actually are a little bit uncomfortable if you've ever had them. So let's start with the easiest, waxing. Okay, the advantage of waxing, it takes a few seconds of pain for about 2 weeks of hairlessness. Okay, it doesn't grow back as stubble either, like shaving does. Your skin is usually silky, and the hair grows in slower and finer each time around. The disadvantages to waxing is you have to let the hair grow long enough for the wax to pull it out. So if it's in a place, like if you happen to be doing it on your face for whatever reason, if you're very dark skinned and you grow like hair in places you don't really want them, or your arms, places where again it would be seen, you have to let it grow in. Kind of bummer, right? Hello, Jennifer. So there is a disadvantage for certain areas. Clearly, a bikini wax, most people aren't going to notice if you let the hair grow in a little bit. Like I said, most people. Okay, it works best anywhere you don't mind letting the hair grow long. It lasts about 2 to 4 weeks, depending on your hair growth, and it's best done at a salon by an experienced person, but yes, it can be done at home. The downside, in my opinion, if you've ever had any type of waxing, the tub of wax that they use is used by multiple people. If you go to somebody who isn't like the lady I go to, who uses her own wax, the wax is shared by everybody in the salon, and they stick that tongue depressor in there and they use it on everybody. Okay, so even if they use a new tongue depressor per person, they're still dipping it back in and reapplying. And, well, okay, maybe you don't care about somebody's arm hair, but certain areas I don't want to share with other people. So it's kind of gross in my opinion. Maybe the heat of the wax can kill off any germs or bacteria from other people, but I'm not in for that. So I like it if my person uses their own one, and I know that she is using a new tongue blade each time she reapplies to me. But I know she isn't. She's reusing the same one just on me. Okay, so just a thought. Okay, so next, let's look at electrolysis. Okay, in this technique, if you've ever had it done, they basically insert a very tiny needle into the hair follicle and deliver a short blast of electric current to blast away the hair follicle at the base, at the root, so it doesn't grow back in. Little zaps of electricity, tiny, each one is a little bit uncomfortable, but again, the process takes a long time. Let's get into that. The advantage is it provides permanent hair removal after a few sessions, but it must be done by a professional only. This is not something you can buy and do at home. It's less expensive than laser, but requires fewer follow-ups. But again, it's a tedious process. The disadvantage is it's one hair at a time. Seriously, the needle goes into the hair follicle, one hair at a time. So it's slow, especially if you're doing large areas, right? Not to mention, again, some people don't can't handle the discomfort. It works best for small areas since it's hard, like I said, it's one hair at a time, and it lasts after a few sessions. Supposedly, it's permanent, okay? I have never had electrolysis other than for a 1 or 2 or 3 hairs that kind of are stubborn little buggers that won't go away any other way. So if you've had it, chime in, let me know your thoughts. Hello, Denise. Lastly, let's talk about laser hair removal. It's a long-term option that involves destroying the hair follicle with light. It works best with people who have darker and thicker hair. So if you're blonde or you're fair-skinned, it's not always going to be the best option. The advantage is supposedly it's pain-free now. Who knew? When I did it, it wasn't. It was about 10 years ago. It wasn't painful, but you felt it. Zzz, 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 like a little zap each time they put the light on. Not unbearable, but again, not pain-free. The disadvantages: the laser only affects hairs that are in an active stage of growth and requires waiting at least 1 month between sessions. Also, it's the most expensive option. It works best, like I said, on darker and thicker hair. How long does it last? Well, it should be permanent. But when I went, they told me, like if I wanted to do it on my daughter, that it might not be permanent. It has hormonal changes can affect it, such as puberty and pregnancy can actually stimulate new hair growth. So you may have to come back in and start all over. Not really my kind of cup of tea, right? Especially if you're paying buku bucks. If you're paying for 10 sessions and you've done your 10 sessions and you have to come back 6 years later or 5 years later or 20 years later and start all over again, can run into a lot of money. Hello, Karen. So again, the options are there. I've done waxing, I've done laser, haven't done electrolysis. Fortunately, I'm at the stage of my life where as you get older, as we all know, hair growth, like in places like your legs and under your arms, is kind of slow and the hair gets very, very fine. So, shaving might just be the easiest deal. So put in the comments what you've done, how you've done it, what you like, that kind of stuff. Share with everybody. Don't get graphic and gross, but just kind of let everybody communicate back and forth. This is how we learn, from one person to another. So that's what I got for you today. We'll finish up our skin talk tomorrow. Tomorrow's a good topic, so stay tuned. I will see you again tomorrow for another Live in 5.